There are a lot of reasons the Honda Civic is such a popular choice. It's practical, roomy, comfortable, and it's even kind of fun to drive. But if kind of fun isn't enough fun for you, you're in luck, thanks to the higher performance Civic Si. Now the Si isn't just more fun to drive, it's easy to live with and practical for the day-to-day grind. I'm Deshello from Edmonds, where we're known as the car testing pros. We've decided to team up with the experts over at CarMax to help you find the right car for your needs. Woo! Okay, this thing is moving. Civics are good, like really good. From base LX models up to the leather-clad touring trims, the Civic covers practically every need, and then some. The 10th generation Civic debuted in 2016 and was an instant class leader with its distinctive style, plentiful features, and fun, sporty driving character. This 2021 Civic is the EX trim, which hits the sweet spot at a price that won't make your eyes pop out of your head. A refreshed lineup of Civics debuted in 2019 and included standard driver assist features that they call the Honda Sensing Suite. On average, CarMax sells a Civic for about $29,000, depending on trim level, options, mileage, and other factors. The Civic Si, however, is aimed at those who love to drive. It only comes with a sweet shifting 6-speed manual transmission. It also has standout styling, sports seats, better handling, more power, a limited slip differential, and adjustable shock absorbers. We'll explain the differences and what all that means, but the short version is that the Si is more fun to drive. Now this engine feels strong, especially for an entry-level sedan. CarMax sells the Civic Si for around $31,000. The EX may be the bread and butter model of the Civic, but it's actually still pretty satisfying to drive. The steering is direct and responsive. So on road trips or commute, you won't be fidgeting with the wheel. And in turns, you can actually gauge how much grip the tires have. The suspension strikes a great balance. It's grippy in corners for an entry-level sedan, but it's still comfortable. The Civic uses a CVT, which means that you don't feel the gears shifting as you would in a traditional transmission. The brakes have a firm pedal and they stop the car quickly. But the biggest downside to driving the Civic is road noise, which is especially noticeable on rough surfaces. Cabin noise in the Si is more distracting than in the EX, and for good reason. The Si has 31 more horsepower than the EX, and you immediately notice it. The suspension is also firmer, but it's not too stiff. The Civic Si also includes a standard helical limited slip differential, and it helps put down power evenly when accelerating hard or when powering out of a corner. Now the brakes are bigger for even better stopping power. Si gauges also feature driver selectable performance displays, so you can have a G-meter, boost gauge, or even a shift light on the dash, which I think is pretty cool. The manual transmission feels great when shifting through gears, but the engine likes to hang on to revs, which means that when you push the clutch in, the revs don't drop very fast, so it can feel a little bit rough sometimes when you're shifting. One thing that sets the Civic Si apart from the standard Civic is sport mode. Press this button and the shocks in the suspension get firmer. This improves grip and controls the car's body even more firmly, which is a good idea when you're driving fast. It also makes the steering feel heavier to make it feel more sporty, which is fine, but this one just feels a bit too heavy for me. I feel like I'm wrestling with it at times. Now we like the stiffer suspension, although it does hurt ride quality, so we are glad that it has normal mode. On this 2020 Civic Si, the sport mode also enables something Honda calls active sound control, which creates a sort of engine noise using the speakers. Honestly, we're not really fans of it. We think that it sounds a little too artificial, but hey, it's a small price to pay for all those extra features the 2020 model added. Nobody would ever accuse the 10th generation Civic of subtle styling, and even this EX is one expressively designed compact sedan. But park it next to the Si, and you can see some clear differences. This EX comes with these 17-inch alloy wheels and chrome around those decorative openings in the bumper, both added for the 2019 refresh. And just note that those bumper openings don't actually open to anything. They're just design elements. The Si amps things up with bolder, but still fake, vents on the lower part of the bumper, which is the most obvious clue from the front. The Civic Si has a unique center-mounted exhaust pipe that we think looks pretty cool. Aside from that, there's 18-inch alloy wheels and blackout trim on the grille. The 2020 Civic Si got a few more touches, including LED headlights and fog lights. Now overall, the styling changes are aggressive, but not as out there as the Civic Type R. It's just enough to make it clear from a glance that this isn't an ordinary Civic. When it comes to interior equipment, the Civic EX and Si are pretty similar. Both cars offer plenty of space, even for tall drivers and rear passengers. The control layout is perfect, and visibility is excellent. Both the EX and Si come with heated front seats, but neither of them offer adjustable lumbar support. They also offer the same 7-inch touchscreen, which unfortunately cannot be put in the pros column. Now, when it comes to the sound system, it's fine, but the interface is slow and confusing, and to me, the graphics just feel really dated. In 2019, all Civics, including the Si, got a physical volume knob and buttons for modes and radio tuning. Now, the best news is that this touchscreen comes standard with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can ignore the so-so factory interface. Now, despite the common points, there are some noteworthy differences. The Civic EX has this big adjustable center console bin, and the storage space under the dash is super handy. The pass-through for USB cables is also a useful touch. Now, the EX has an 8-way power driver's seat, and it's easy to find a comfortable driving position where everything feels like it's within reach. Only the driver gets a power seat. The passengers have to make do with manual controls, but I think they'll be fine. Rear seat legroom is great, but the Civic's sloping roofline cuts into headroom a bit for tall passengers. The doors open wide, making entry easy. The Civic has a clear view out the front and to the sides, but we can't really say the same for the rear, which is obstructed by thick pillars and a smallish rear window. So the Civic comes with lane watch, but we'd actually prefer if it had a normal blind spot information system because it would give us information on both sides of the car, not just the passengers. The biggest difference in the Si is the sports seats, which offer extra thick side cushions and a big Si logo embroidered on the seat back. You know, just in case you forget what you're driving. Red contrast stitching matches the seats to the doors, steering wheel, the shift boot, and the shift knob. The Si seats are all manually adjustable, including for height, but hey, it still offers plenty of adjustability, so it's good. The gauges are red in the Si, and all the switches and controls are also lit in red at night. If you haven't noticed, there's a lot of red going on, and yes, we think it looks pretty cool. The Si also gets a better sound system that includes 10 speakers. That's more power to bump your favorite music. When this generation of Civic debuted in 2016, it set the Civic as a benchmark for the class in many ways, especially the numbers. Trunk space in the EX is among the biggest in its class, and it's even as roomy as some mid-size sedans. It also gets great fuel economy, 36 miles per gallon combined, according to EPA estimates. It's hard to find a reason to be disappointed by this car. It's comfortable with great ride quality, and the turbocharged engine gives you quick acceleration when you need it without hurting you at the pump. Now the Si has everything that we like about the Civic EX, but with more. Am I repeating myself? Look, we just think that it's a tremendous value for the level of performance it puts out. The Si's fuel economy is still pretty good, with an EPA estimated 36 miles per gallon on the highway and 30 miles per gallon combined. This thing is fun, okay? Yes, it's noisy, and yes, it's stiffer, especially in sport mode, but so what? That's the point. It's an easy call. You can't go wrong with the Civic EX. It has plenty of features, it has lots of space, it gets great fuel economy, and it's even enjoyable to drive. But if you want more performance than the EX offers, and you're willing to make a few compromises when it comes to interior noise and a slight hit to fuel economy, the Civic Si is a perfect performance bargain that's really hard to pass up. So let us know which one of these Civics you want to pull into your garage in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, click down below for an in-depth article.